So, Flow is the story of a young black cat who is uniquely alone in the world, a world that is surprisingly lonely. When one day, out in the woods in a small house where the cat lives, some water starts rising. It starts kind of coming out of the woods. A bunch of animals come charging through, and suddenly water's coming up. Before you know it, the whole place is flooded. Over flooded, in fact. And the cat's perched on a tree and then runs up to a statue. Before you know it, there's nowhere to go. The water's rising. It's almost over. And then a boat comes passing through with a small animal on it. Not quite a cat, but something like it. And before you know it, the cat hops on, and this animal and this cat start moving along this kind of river that's developed where this flood used to be. And then after that, more animals jump in, and they kind of find a bit of a family and maybe find a bit of a solution to this flood problem that none of these animals could possibly understand. This is the beginning of Flow, which is an 85-minute foreign film. I think it's out of Latvia from director Gints Zilbalodis. I'm so sorry. Anyway,
Zilbalodis.
I'm saying this complimentary. It's a tremendous film, and I'm very much looking forward to talking about it. Flow is a film about being in the present. It is a film with no language. There is no spoken cast. None of these animals speak. This is not a Disney joint. It is a low-budget indie animated feature that is using a combination of animation tricks and emotional storytelling to present to you a very simple story, like with very simple animation and really no vocals at all, but to give you something that is uniquely in the position of an animal, which is present tense at all times. Like without language, we cannot talk about our worries. We cannot express our fears. We cannot express elation, but we can share emotion with one another, which is something these animals do so well. This cat is adorable. All of these animals are adorable, and they manage to weave this unique story in a place without people, that is so hauntingly without the presence of individuals, but somehow manages to have like an emotion that you, the audience, can connect to. It's uniquely special, and I feel like I've talked about it in the abstract. We got to talk about this movie for what it is. Andy, what did you think of Flow?
So I was really impressed by this, and I wasn't sure what to think because I didn't know anything about it. I was sure not to watch any trailers, but I just knew that it had a lot of buzz. Like I said, it was nominated for both Best International Feature and Best Animated Feature, so I figured it must have something to it. And it's very adult. There's a lot of like mature themes, and not mature as in like, violence and gore, but just in more philosophical things. There's a number of things in the film that I don't actually really know what they represent, and it's something that I've had to like sit and think with to say, like, what is this trying to say? What does this mean? And that's what I mean by more adult. But it's a lot of fun because it's like an animal feature that we got to work together to survive, and there's little conflicts that go away. But there's also some stuff that's like, it's kind of scary because like this water is rising and it just will not stop. Every time you think the everyone is safe, the water just keeps going up, and they have to keep finding safety. There's some dark things in here, and that was shocked a little bit at a couple of parts of things that happened that I didn't really expect. Didn't think that the movie would go there. And it's about a lot of things. It's about, teamwork. It's a bit of a family, the power of friendship. But it's also about kindness. But it's also the cost of that working together is how we survive, but also, that might be a price to pay for helping others out. And sometimes you're not always rewarded for that. But I was really impressed by it. I was really hooked on it the whole time, even though there's no dialogue at all. Everything is all on screen. That you have to look at the way the creatures react and their facial expressions and all those sorts of things. So I was really impressed by it.
Yeah, it's a film that really has to nail the presentation, because without any spoken dialogue, it is very easy for an audience to get bored, right? So you have to be doing something that's particularly engaging for most of that 85-minute runtime. And outside of action, of which there is plenty in Flow, this little cat has a lot to deal with. There's a lot of moments of like pensive emotion when you sit quietly with genuinely gorgeous visuals, which are accomplished by a number of things. Number one, cheap animation. They use the combination of cell shading and like simple colors to make the animation look pretty seamless. You can kind of see the edges of some shading, but not too much. Number two, great reflections. The reflections of the light off the water in this movie are fantastic. And number three, the lighting. The lighting is nuts. Like the incredible sunsets, big fog, big sunrise, moonlight, stars. Like all of this comes together to give you something that's like really visually engaging. So you're locked in with your eyes, right? But if your ears aren't satisfying you, what's next? And that's the emotion. These are the things you're sitting quietly with. Like Andy said, it is uniquely adult. I don't think it has to be, but I do wonder if kids would be a little bored. Maybe not, honestly. Like, it's quite a cavalcade of characters we end up meeting on this little journey. And they all have such funny problems. Like, it is a world full of anxiety and flow because the water is just continuing to rise and there's seemingly no answer and no solution and nothing we can do to stop it. And you might have a character like this cat here who is just trying to do their best to get by and maybe being playful when they can, versus like this lemur kind of monkey character that's in here who has these little possessions that he likes to grab, little tinkerings and shiny things, a little mirror, like a key that he found somewhere. He's got it in a basket, and like it's such a meaningless little pile of junk, but it means something to the monkey. You know what I mean? So when something gets broken, you feel this like really heartbreaking feeling of like, oh dude, that sucks. Like, it doesn't. And all of this, I should say, is so brilliantly put together because the camera in Flow, it is an animated feature. The camera is handheld, and it's brilliant because the only person who could be holding a camera is a person, and it makes it feel grounded and real. And in a movie without any people, playing a handheld camera that's following a cat around like low to the ground, like gives you, the audience member, this really, really unique, genuine peek into the world. Like, it feels like not quite that you're there, but that you are so explicitly following this cat and only the cat to kind of keep up with him and his safety and what's going on, their safety and what's going on with them, and not about the world, which is something you would have so many questions about. But like our cat, we don't know why the water's rising. Like we don't really have an answer to fix the water rising. All we can do is keep moving and be present. It's like a movie for people who have crazy anxiety, right? To remind you to like relax and it's all going to be okay. I'm guessing that's why Bill Hader said it's his favorite movie, because I know he's an anxiety head. So I don't know.
Oh man, I've lost my train of thought.
Yeah, it's all right.
I was there are no humans in this. It's important to say there are, of course, signs of them. Like our cat lives in someone's kind of broken down house, and there's all these like cat shrines around, and we see monuments, we see cities and towers and empty boats that have been crashed. So we see that humans have been around at some point, but are all now gone, possibly extinct, possibly somewhere else, transported to a different plane of existence. Who knows? We don't really know. And again, that's part of the charm, is there are mysteries and hints, but that's not the point of the film. We're not here to get answers about like what happened or how it happened. We just know there are no humans. I felt a little bit of a climate change parallel, which reminded me of The Wild Robot, because it has a little bit of that too, where entire cities are underwater and things like that. So there's just a lot of mature themes going on, and I think that's what really kind of held my attention.
Yeah, very pro-environmental for sure. And I think that, I don't know, I think it's a really clever exercise. Looking at the filmography, it looks like our director has done a few other films like this, but these other films seem to, like animated features like this, kind of like short, quiet, minimalist. But few of them seem to have this kind of, I don't know, this kind of lightning rod of a theme running through it, and that there's really no opportunity for intervention in the world of Flow. It fits the title, actually, along with the theme of our water kind of going through. Like, there are no human characters to ask, why is the water rising? There is nobody to save this cat. We don't even know whose cat this is. Yeah, we get a little bit of an idea of the house the cat lives in, this kind of bed that it curls up on, but like, it's very obviously alone. There isn't anybody to help. And there's these haunting shots of like human statues sometimes. There's this great shot of the boat going past this like hand reaching out, like almost like it's reaching out to pet the cat, but it's just like a statue. And it leaves you with these questions, but ultimately, like, it also reminds you of the value of conviction, like as a viewer, to remind you that like, hey, we have the ability in the real world to make decisions and talk to people and sort our problems out. But the characters in Flow don't. They don't get that. Like, all they can do is just go with what comes next, just to be open to what's happening. and just try to bring your best self. And maybe in times of crisis, when things get stressful and some of these animals start to kind of fight on the boat, maybe remind yourself that like you can still be a good being. You can still do the right thing when things are tough. Like it's got moral lessons, it's complicated, like it's visual, it's got good music. Flow is like a really great watch, man. And I get why it's nominated here. Like I get why it's nominated for the Oscars, Best Animated Feature. But Andy, I gotta know, you think this might be the winner, right? You think this might take it. What is it about this, as opposed to like, I don't know, Inside Out 2 or Wallace and Gromit or The Wild Robot? Like, what is it about Flow that you think has got the sauce?
So the Wild Robot is just a little bit. It's aimed at a little bit at younger audiences, and I think the themes in Flow are so mature and so complex that kind of catapulted it. Again, it's like The Brutalist is, about the facade of the immigrant journey and the American dream, and it's like this big, treatise on the American way of life. It's like it's going for these big ideas, and that's what I think Flow is doing as well. It's really swinging for the fences, and something like The Wild Robot, which I think is excellently made. It's a little bit smaller. It's a little bit, it's aimed at younger audiences, where I think this is for all audiences, and it's surprisingly very adult.
Yeah, and I mean, you're absolutely right with all audiences. Again, no subtitles, all language, no cast. Like you don't have to go looking for like Flow in English to watch it in your country or whatever language. Like it is available everywhere. It doesn't need it. Like all of its storytelling is uniquely visual, and like that makes it really special. Also, cannot praise the 85-minute runtime enough. My God, if only more films dared to dream in 85 minutes like Flow does. Imagine the world we'd live in. But it's a tremendous watch. I'm really glad we checked it out. I know it's on HBO right now if you want to check it out in the States. Andy, I gotta know, would you recommend Flow?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely one of the surprises of this year and last year. It's has very interesting and mature themes. It's beautifully made. There's some really stunning scenes of the animation. It's very anxiety inducing. It asks us a lot of questions and also doesn't provide us with easy answers. Really makes you think. Appropriate for all ages. So highly recommend.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Flow rocks. Would recommend. If you are an animal lover, you're going to like Flow. If you're an animation lover, you're going to like Flow. If you have HBO, throw it on, baby. It's 85 minutes. It's bad. Come on. It's barely longer than an episode of television nowadays. Like, absolutely worth your time. Might just win Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. Big upset for Disney. Can't wait. Can't wait to see. Boy, and that's the episode. Episode 283 off script, done and dusted, Andy. What are we watching next week?
So we are only going to be watching one movie because it's the 2025 Oscars will be the other complete second half of the show. But we're going to be taking a look at Ne Zha 2, the Chinese animated film, which is blowing the box office up. I think it's at like 1.9 billion. So it's about to cross the 2 billion mark, which is crazy for a film that's basically only come out in China. It hasn't had a huge international rollout. I read somewhere that it's out in something like 80,000 theaters in China, which is insane because by comparison, a big movie in America will at most have like 3,500 to 4,500 theaters at most, and that's like a big Marvel film would have. So to have like 20 times that is just nuts. Some other things, no FYI releases, but upcoming, we'll be taking a look at Mickey 17 on March 7th, Novocaine, and Opus also, which opened on March 15th. So those are some things coming up, but the 2025 Oscars and Ne Zha 2 for next week.
Very excited for next week on the pod. Looking forward to the Oscars. Also, yeah, I got to know what this Ne Zha 2 is about. Could be heat. Who knows? It might be the best thing ever. If anything, I know Disney's watching that movie and trying to figure out what's working here in foreign markets. How can we get a little bit of this sauce over in China? If you enjoyed the episode today, episode 283 off script, or any other episode we've done, best way to keep up the show, just subscribe on your favorite platform. If you're an audio listener, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, iHeartMedia, we're over there. You can check us out. You can leave a rating and review. If you're on YouTube, love the YouTube audience. Big things happening with you guys over there. Thanks for checking us out. You can subscribe somewhere around this video. I'm sure there's a place where you can click that. You can like, comment, rate, review. Every single engagement helps the channel, I swear, in more ways than you know. Anything you guys can do for us, we appreciate it more than you know. So That's YouTube. Let's see. We're on social media. All the usual social media places. Facebook, Instagram. We're on TikTok. I think we're definitely hanging out on Twitter. You can check us out over there. You can check out our website, offscriptfilmreview.com, for more. And you can email us direct correspondence, mail at offscriptfilmreview.com. Email, just like everybody used to do, right? Back in the day before comment sections and God knows what. Anyway, I got to wrap this up. It's been quite the episode. From all of us at Offscript, the home of Bold Cinema, I'm Zach Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Draper.
Thanks for watching.